Center.
Okay, guys, we're back for the launch of Gozar, and I think I just switched back to ISS. I'm utterly confused now. Someone please send help. Yeah. Hello? Give me a moment, I need to check if the headphones are working.
LWO.
Okay, there we go.
Net 8.
LWO on 8.
Okay.
Sir, please stand by for weather briefing.
Standing by.
We're about half
WRC
an hour
on
out from
Weather
launch.
Conference Channel 8, looking for the LD. LD's on. NLM.
NLM's on.
LWO, please proceed.
Yes, we're looking in the peninsula of Florida, looking up north. You'll see those clouds on this IR shot, those clouds that are coming over past the end of the window, so no concerns really for any cloudy conditions, just some very thin clouds at about 4,500 feet. No echoes on the radar, and not expect any through the balance of the count in the window. Taking a look at the winds out of Complex 41, should have light and variable winds really for the next hour, and then I believe they will eventually come off the land, but it's probably after the beginning of the window, but sometime during the window out of the northwest. Otherwise, light and variable through the next hour. As you'll notice, the winds are pretty much variable, and would expect that for the next hour. Temperature is 75, and we should be 74, 75 during the window. In terms of the upper level winds, you notice the winds have increased significantly here out from LR3 or from LR2 to LR3. Would expect to see continued increase in this 20 to 25,000 foot range of about 10 knots, and then otherwise a gradual increase in this 25 to 30,000 foot range. Otherwise, up and down the column, about a 5-knot increase for the balance of the count in the window. Wind should continue to go in a clockwise fashion, about 20 degrees, 10 to 20 degrees, with 10 degrees from the present time through the window open. Taking a look at the Alps forecast then, let's look at scattered at 4,500 feet, 7 miles visibility, light and variable winds through about 2,300 Zulu, and then we should start getting a northwesterly flow, relatively light 10 gusting to 14, no weather, and 74 to 75, no concern for any LCC violations, no change in the 24-hour delay. And as I mentioned, light and variable winds, no lightning, and then out of the northwest gusting to 15. Proton flux remains at normal background levels. This concludes the weather brief. Any questions?
RC, no questions.
This is Atlas Launch Control. We're at T-minus 21 minutes, 13 seconds and counting. Again, good news on the weather. Everything looks go. No major technical issues at work. As we mentioned a few moments ago, TV meteorologists from all over are here to watch this launch of the NOAA GOES-R satellite, which will contribute greatly to their ability to forecast in the future. One of those here today, Al Roker, host and weatherman of NBC's Today Show and 13-time Emmy winner, caught up with our very own Stephanie Martin just a little while ago.
Thanks. I'm here with NBC's Al Roker, and we are excitedly awaiting tonight's GOES-R launch. Al, what does GOES-R mean for the weather forecasting community?
Well, what's so exciting is that we're going to be getting more data.
1080p. Can it handle 1080p?
More often.
Seems so.
Much more detailed, higher resolution. I mean, we're going to be jumping. It's like back in the day when we went from black and white television to color. Well, this is going to be like going from black and white to high definition. So for us, it gives us the opportunity to be able to give that information much more quickly to our viewers. And the more lead time there is, the better it is for them. I mean, when I came down here and found out
5 meter fairing,
that this
4
is going to affect
SRBs,
not
one
just
upper
our
stage
hurricane forecasting, but tornado forecasting. And the idea that if we can give people another 10, 15, 20 minutes, that we're talking about lives being saved.
Well, and then that's really in our minds here along the Space Coast. We've just had the effects from Hurricane Matthew. We're all thinking about it. So you're talking about just that enhanced data will really help you protect lives?
Absolutely, because the more accurate you can be, the better off you are when it comes to your credibility. You know, people say, well, you know, you said it was going to do this and it did this, and why should I get out of town or evacuate when you say that? And if as we get better and better at that, and GOES-R is going to help us do that, then people take us more seriously when it comes to a forecast for a hurricane, a winter storm, a tornado warning, things like that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're excited for tonight's launch.
Here's why I'm excited. First of all, I've never seen a twilight launch, so I'm looking forward to what that's going to look like. But with this technology that's going up today, we jump now to the top of the food chain when it comes to satellite technology. And let's face it, it's America. We want to make American weather great again.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Alan. We're back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. He's obviously very excited, as are many people who are awaiting today's launch. It really will be an amazing spacecraft when it gets in orbit. And as he mentioned, this is a twilight launch with local sunset occurring at 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time and launch at 5:42 p.m. It should be spectacular as the rocket lifts off from relative darkness on the ground and immediately is backlit from a setting sun in the west as the spacecraft heads almost due east at 100.7 degrees. In past launches like this, there have been some amazing contrails that we have seen.
Yep, which people are going to be crazy in seeing
T-minus 17 minutes, 45 seconds and counting. This is Atlas Launch Control.
Right, yeah, you can see, I think that's like 39A, which SpaceX is going to use for their next launch, due to the fact that Slick 40 is still out of commission from the explosion in early September. Most of you have seen that, which has been narrowed down
As
to
we
something
prepare
about
for
fueling.
launch, we would like to show you a little bit more about what this amazing spacecraft will do. NOAA has prepared a video that goes into detail and explains exactly the benefits that will come from this launch.
The following profile details the
they
important
do.
events of this mission
They do this
using
every time.
approximate times.
5, 4, 3, 2, we have ignition and liftoff.
The Atlas V RD-180 main engine and 4 solid rocket boosters ignite to generate the 2.25 million pounds of thrust to lift
That's
the
a
rocket
lot.
away from the pad.
I might be stating the obvious, but still.
Shortly after liftoff, Atlas begins its initial pitch, yaw, and roll maneuvers to attain the
itself
proper
wrong.
ascent profile and minimize aerodynamic loads.
So you might know when it goes behind the cloud,
The
you can only
Atlas
see
V reaches
straight
Mach 1, the speed of
basically
sound, at
direct
35
exhaust
seconds.
fire.
At 46 seconds, the vehicle experiences maximum dynamic pressure.
This is the most aerodynamic force of that.
The first 2 solid rocket boosters, or SRBs, are jettisoned at 1 minute 50 seconds, followed a second and a half later by the 3rd and 4th SRBs.
And then into 501 configuration.
The payload fairing is jettisoned at 3.5 minutes.
And then the Centaur.
As it approaches booster engine
um,
cutoff, the Atlas V
something
is
after.
burning propellant at the rate of 1,856 pounds per second, traveling at over
The thing is,
12,440
that's
miles
so
per hour,
absurdly
and located
huge that you
92
can't imagine
miles
it.
in altitude and 276 miles downrange. Booster engine cutoff occurs 4 minutes 21 seconds after liftoff. 6 seconds later, the booster stage is jettisoned. The vehicle now weighs a little more than 5% of what it did at liftoff 4.5 minutes earlier.
Yep,
The first
that's
Centaur main
insane.
engine start takes place 10 seconds after booster
They
separation.
upgrade the graphics.
Cutoff of the
Hi,
Centaur
ULA,
main
you
engine
upgraded the
occurs just
graphics.
over
Well
12
done,
minutes
mate.
after launch.
I
The
think
mission
there's
now
slightly more
enters a
detail on
nearly
the front of the
10-minute
Centaur.
cruise phase. At 22 minutes, the Centaur main engine is restarted. This burn will last 5.5 minutes. Following the second Centaur main engine cutoff at 27
A long
minutes
cruise.
35 seconds, the mission now enters a 3-hour coast phase. At 3 hours 27.5 minutes after liftoff, the Centaur
What
is
is
started
Australia?
for a third and final burn. A minute and a half later, final cutoff of the Centaur main engine occurs. At just under 3 hours 32 minutes, Centaur releases the GOES-R satellite for NOAA and NASA.
And thank you to United Launch Alliance for that video depiction of what we were about to see at liftoff at 5:42 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have some footage provided by United Launch Alliance shot earlier today from an unmanned aerial vehicle around Space Launch Complex 41 showing the Atlas V rocket with the NOAA GOES-R satellite mounted on
using
top,
a drone now?
ready for liftoff. This will be the 67th Atlas V Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle flight since its inaugural launch in August 2002, and the fourth in the Atlas 541 configuration with the 5-meter payload fairing, the 4 Block C solid rocket boosters, and a single Centaur upper stage. You're looking at Space Launch Complex 41. It's technically part of NASA's Kennedy Space Center and leased to the U.S. Air Force here at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. This launch pad hosted Titan rockets beginning in 1965, and then the Atlas V since 2002. Space Launch Complex 41 has launched many NASA missions to the solar system and beyond,
I'm actually curious
including
to
the
we'll get
Viking robots that landed on Mars, the Voyager spacecraft that toured the outer planets, the New Horizons probe that flew by Pluto, and the Curiosity rover on Mars, as well as previous GOES satellites.
I think that they are
the
Slick
stage
40.
for today's launch.
You can't really
At
see much,
5:42
probably because
p.m.
everything was... Well,
We have a 1-hour
really
launch
much to
window
see.
should that be needed.
right,
At this time, everything continues to be go.
Camera.
And once again, weather will not be a concern for us. We're counting down to our planned built-in hold at the T-minus 4-minute mark. We're at T-minus 12 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. This is Atlas Launch Control.
Right, so we're T-minus 12
T-minus
minutes.
12 minutes.
But there's going to be a hold, although it's been shortened.
Pogo suppressor charge is complete. Roger.
You can see a bit of a liquid oxygen or liquid hydrogen, I'm not sure which one it is, being vented from the vehicle. There's still about another 20 minutes due to that actually no, there's about 16 minutes due to the 6 minutes.
DLC on 1, all steps are complete through step number 710.
So you can see that camera, I believe, is mounted on top
This
of the
is
vehicle
Atlas
assembly
Launch
building.
Control at T-minus 10 minutes, 4 seconds, and counting. NOAA's GOES-R satellite ready to begin its journey today at 5:42 p.m. Eastern Time and provide a wealth of real-time data for weather forecasters around the Western Hemisphere. Let's learn a little bit more about the GOES-R satellite.
The GOES-R satellite is really a game changer. It's going to transform how we do our forecasting and the quality that we can deliver.
Harnessing state-of-the-art technology and engineering, GOES-R will scan the Earth 5 times faster than our current geostationary satellites. with 4 times greater image resolution and triple the number of channels for scientists to observe global weather and climate. This means much higher quality images of severe weather, from floods to hurricanes, delivered to forecasters much more rapidly, every 30 seconds, instead of the current rate of every 5 minutes.
For our forecasters, it's going to be like jumping from black and white TV to high def. They're going to have more channels of information, they're going to have finer detail, they're going to get the information at a faster update rate, they're going to be able to see lightning in storms for the first time, all of which is going to really jump forward how well they can monitor and produce forecasts about severe weather.
Beyond weather forecasting, GOES-R will also improve our ability to monitor and predict solar activity, which can potentially degrade critical technology on Earth, such as power grids, aviation, and GPS communications. It will also provide search and rescue assistance to people in life-threatening situations on land and at sea. Equipped with a transponder that detects distress signals from emergency beacons, GOES-R will relay the location of activated beacons to NOAA.
If a plane is in
which
that
will notify
state,
the
nobody's
Coast Guard or
walking.
Air Force.
Very few people are walking out of it alive.
Our mission in
Or
many ways is
walking
to
out of it,
provide
at
the
least.
country with environmental intelligence, reliable, actionable information that people from heads of households to head of state can factor into the decisions that they're making every single day. And GOES-R now elevates the quality of the data that go into that environmental intelligence to a whole new plane.
Taking the GOES-R project from initial design to launch was a highly coordinated, collaborative process. Teams of experts from NOAA, NASA, and their partners worked together to determine the technology needed to meet the needs of the National Weather Service, and then to engineer and build what has emerged as the most advanced weather satellite the United States has ever produced.
It's really a team effort by a tremendously large, multidisciplinary team of people who work remarkably long hours and make tremendous personal sacrifices over many years. One of NOAA's primary commitments is to do everything we can to help ensure the United States becomes a weather-ready nation. And first and foremost, sort of the foundational
Some of these are
underpinning
horrifying,
of that
knowing that these are all in one
is to make
country.
sure our observing infrastructure is state-of-the-art, truly second to none.
This is why I'm glad I
And with
live in
GOES-R,
Ireland,
we've
where
made a
you
major
don't have to worry
stride in
about
that
tornadoes or hurricanes, or bloody really anything other than rain. I mean, we
Back
rarely get
live at
lightning.
Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Air Force
We do
Station
get
in
also
Florida.
rainbows, though.
T-minus 6 minutes, 34 seconds and counting. Looking at the Atlas V rocket, standing 197 feet tall, or about 20 stories. It weighs more than 700,000 pounds now that it's fully fueled. To lift the Atlas V away from the pad, more than 2.2 million pounds of thrust is produced by the RD-180 engine and 4 Block C strap-on solid rocket boosters.
I'm going to hold off on doing our poll for now.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting.
Roger.
T-minus 6 minutes.
Our next planned built-in hold at T-minus 4 minutes, a little bit more than a minute and a half from now. It's planned to be a 6-minute hold, leading to a liftoff at 5:42 p.m. Eastern Time.
T-minus 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
T-minus 5 minutes, 20 seconds.
LC, LD, Channel 1.
Go ahead, LD.
We are working a technical issue relative to the launch vehicle, and based on that, we're not going to make the opening of the window. So I want you to delay the call to the spacecraft to go on internal power that's planned for L-minus 10.
Copy. Prop 1, LC.
This is Prop 1.
Roger. Status of fuel fill.
Approximately 25 seconds.
Centaur LO2 at flight level.
Roger.
Centaur LH2 at flight level.
Roger. SYS, start RADAS data acquisition.
Roger.
Gear start. Has the hold begun?
We're just a couple of seconds away from entering our built-in hold at T-minus 4 minutes.
It's going to be a 6-minute hold.
T-minus 4 minutes in holding. This is a programmed 6-minute hold.
Yes, 6-minute hold.
As you
NSC,
heard,
LC.
teams are working an anomaly issue. We will not be launching at the beginning of the launch window. We'll stand by for further information.
NSC copies.
Teams have been advised to hold off transferring the GOES-R spacecraft to internal power, an activity that is normally planned for 10 minutes prior to launch.
Which is what we're at now.
Roger, do not release the hold. Initiate the standard protocol of adding 5 minutes as required.
Sorry, another 5
Roger.
minutes. It's an 11-minute hold then.
And Prop 1, LC?
Yes, we're ready to make that call. Fuel fill sequence is complete.
Roger.
This is Atlas Launch Control. We're in our T-minus 4 minute hold, and as is standard protocol, whenever an anomaly is being worked, the appropriate teams are discussing the issue, and when they've come to a resolution or a recommendation, then they will bring that to the countdown net, at which point we will all learn what the resolution is. At this point, we know we will not be launching at the beginning of the launch window at 5:42 p.m. Eastern Time.
I'm not going to get any.
We have a 1-hour launch window today that runs to 6:42 p.m., and we'll stand by for further details.
It's configured for launch.
Roger. David system camera configured for launch.
Roger.
LC, LD.
Go ahead.
Let's see, based on the time to resolve this potential issue, please use our standard con-op of adjusting the clock in 5-minute increments until we get a good closure plan and pick T0.
Roger, understand. Timer LC, did you copy? Do not
Roger.
release the hold.
Right, the hold is basically being extended until I find a solution to whatever problem they're having.
Launch Director Bill Cullen instructing Launch Conductor Doug Lebo to extend the clock. They will be advancing the clock in 5-minute increments as they discuss the issue today. So our next possible launch opportunity is at 5:47 p.m.
All right, this is the LC on Channel 1. All communication switch to Channel 1. All personnel and visitors remain in present position until launch. Maintain operational silence in the LCC. This is the LC with a terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint any time after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on Channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
Wait, what? Are they going to come out of the
Team,
hold?
at this time, we're extending the hold and awaiting a new T0, and we will hold off on performing the terminal count poll until we get a new T0.
Right, I think, guys, just to really cut video time here, I'm going to pause the video here until they find said new T0.
Once again, teams are working a launch vehicle issue at this time.
Redline monitor and event table are in the correct configuration.
It seems they've
For terminal count.
decided
Roger.
on a UT0.
Flight
Just
control,
at the
perform
very
launch
end
on time
of
verification.
of the window. By the very end, I mean literally the last minute of the window. So this is an hour later than it was originally planned to be. We're approximately 10 minutes out. Wait. Alright. It's 27 now. There. Actually, okay, now. I'll pause the video until they proceed a bit with the count, so see you then. Okay, we're a minute and 40 seconds away from the technical checks, according to this guy. Fuck's sake, come on! I'm not in a very patient mood right now. In fact, I'm in a mood where I just want to beat someone's face on with a sledgehammer. That's not a joke, that is genuinely what I feel like right now. Oh, this is a view I haven't seen yet. And yes, I know YouTube has gone full screen, you can go sod off.
This is Atlas Launch Control. In just a few moments, Launch Conductor Doug Lebo will pull the team for the final go to pick up the countdown. 27 engineers and managers will be pulled for system status and readiness to proceed with the launch. This is the final status check before launch for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, the NOAA GOES-R spacecraft, and the U.S. Air Force Eastern Range. The readiness poll includes hydraulics, pad water deluge system, electrical systems, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Standing by for the poll, we'll listen in as Launch Conductor Doug Lebo performs the final polling of his team.
Status checks proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulics.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Has gas.
Go.
Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
COM.
Go.
Timer.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
AC is go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch director is go, and you have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. Timer, T0 is planned for 23:42 Zulu. The count to start at 23:38 Zulu.
Roger. T0 is set for 23:42 Zulu. Count will start at 23:38 Zulu.
So the polling is complete, and we have a go for launch at 6:42 p.m. Eastern Time. The count will resume in about a minute 35 seconds. And once resumed, from T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you'll be listening to Launch Conductor Doug Lebo and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. You'll hear the team confirm securing of Atlas liquid oxygen topping, followed by the call to transfer the Atlas and Centaur stages from ground facility power to internal battery power. At T-minus 1 minute 55 seconds, the team will command the ground launch sequencer to start, followed shortly by securing the Centaur liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen topping activity. Then at T-minus 1 minute 40 seconds, the team will command the flight control system to launch enable and arm the flight termination system. In the final minute, the Atlas tanks will be verified at flight pressure, followed with verification of the Centaur tank pressures. A final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and GOES-R readiness will be conducted at T-minus 25 seconds. And then seconds before liftoff, the RD-180 engine ignites, performs a health check, followed by ignition to lift the Atlas V and GOES-R off the launch pad. After liftoff, you'll be hearing the voice of United Launch Alliance's Marty Malinowski providing launch vehicle ascent data. We're standing by to pick up the count.
Count it. 3, 2, 1, mark.
And we're at T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
Great, we finally resumed the count.
Was enabled.
We're proceeding toward a 6:42 p.m. liftoff. NOAA's GOES-R satellite is confirmed on internal power. The Atlas will be heading nearly due east, 100.7 degrees, and will reach Mach 1, or the speed of sound, about 35 seconds after liftoff. T-minus 3 minutes, 16 seconds and counting.
Great.
Three minutes.
Securing LO2 topping.
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
2 minutes, 50 seconds.
Just internal.
Two minutes, 35 seconds and counting. Everything is go.
Two minutes and 18 seconds.
Just a few seconds away from transferring Atlas and Centaur power to internal.
One minute, 59.
Vehicle internal.
155.
Launch sequencer start.
150.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
FTS armed.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds and counting.
$120.
OCU's armed.
FCS count started.
115.
Reduce ECS for launch.
Roger.
Thomas, 1 minute
110.
and 10 seconds.
Standing by for the
Centaur.
final range status report.
One minute.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
Range is green, and we are go for
55
launch at
seconds.
6:42 p.m. 50 seconds away from liftoff.
$40 seconds.
Stable at step 3.
And liftoff.
Oh, damn it,
of
seriously. No, I'm gonna have to jump back a bit there, seriously. I thought it was still on live. Yeah, play, man. Just leave it like this and fast forward during the coast. Play. Are you deaf?
Minus 30 seconds and counting.
There we go.
28.
ECS reduced for launch.
Roger.
25.
Status check.
Go Atlas. Go Centaur.
Go, GOES-R.
15 seconds and counting.
Great.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What are we going to do this thing? And liftoff
And
of GOES-R.
liftoff of NOAA's GOES-R, America's most advanced weather eye in the sky, elevating environmental intelligence to new heights and saving lives.
I'm lagging like hell. There you can see the road for
close control. Engine response looks good. Now flying the zero angle attack phase of flight. Body rates look good.
Okay, zero angle attack just means
Has
it points
throttle down
into
as
the wind.
scheduled. Response looks good. Roll program is complete. Body rates controlling down the middle.
Listening to the voice of Marty Malinowski.
Mach 1.
Vehicle supersonic. There you can see a view from
Standing by to
Atlas.
pass through Max Q. This is the maximum aerodynamic pressure area. When mechanical stress on the rocket reaches its peak because of the rocket's velocity and resistance created by the atmosphere. NASA's Atlas V
Booster has begun throttling back up. Right on
and
engine response looks good.
GOES-R
throttle down and
spacecraft
throttle up after
continue into flight.
as it passes through Max Q. Throttles down so the vehicle doesn't shred itself.
The United
throttles
Launch
back
Alliance
up to
Atlas booster doing its
get more
job.
power out of the engine. You can see the plumes starting to expand there. Also, I will say, I think I'm not going to record the second burn because it's through the middle of the fucking
1 minute 50 seconds into flight,
we
the
have
first two
indication
solid rocket boosters will be jettisoned, followed about a second and a half later by boosters 3
Yeah,
and
you
4.
can see them burning out now. I can't see anything else. Right, you can see that the boosters have...
Coming up on SRB jettison.
There you
And
go,
we have
first
first pair
SRB.
and
Second
second
SRB.
pair.
Second
Looks like
SRB.
a good separation.
There you go, you can see them slightly
Now
in the
flying.
trail. What? Oh, for fuck's sake, NASA! You give us a launch and you take it away from us, you twats. Right, give me a moment, I'm switching over to the media channel. Okay, guys. It seems
And we
it
have
came
the,
back.
Engine shutdown looks good.
Right, we missed fairing
Standing
step.
by in about 6 seconds for the Centaur's second stage to
There you
separate
go,
from the
separation.
booster.
We have indication of AC sep.
Good separation.
Locks pre-start underway. GN2 purge firing is as well. And we have ignition and full
Centaur
thrust
ignition.
on the RL-10.
RL-10 is spooled up.
This Centaur single RL-10C engine burn, producing 22,900 pounds of thrust, will burn for just under 8 minutes.
Beginning to see our RCS thermal conditioning firings.
Adjust security roadblocks for pad access control. Roger. Readiness pole for pad.
RL-10 performance looks good. Chamber pressures, fuel injectors.
You can actually see the
fuel
RL-10's
venturi pressure.
engine glowing.
Box
in the
pump
back there as well.
discharge, all within band.
Ready. Atlas pneumatics. Ready. Centaur propulsion.
Ready.
Centaur pneumatics. Ready.
Centaur PU is now in closed loop operation, except it is still requesting a slightly oxidizer-rich condition. We do have indication of the booster stage performance at this point, slightly above nominal. RCS line temperatures continue to warm towards bottle temperatures. RL-10 performance continues to look good. Tank pressures are stable. Spark bottle pressures look good.
No, you use that correctly. Spark plug pressures.
Our body rates continue to look good, controlling down the middle. Current altitude 139 miles, downrange distance 888 miles, current velocity 14,209 miles per hour.
Real time sensation.
Coming up on the format change.
Not sure what that means.
And we did have a slight dropout in data, but data has resumed. All signatures look good.
See, the vehicle has begun a bit of a roll. So that's, I'm presuming, where the vehicle is going.
Centaur continues to look like it's making good progress down the middle of the range track. Current altitude 147 miles, downrange distance 1133, current velocity 14,715.
Looking at a live track of the Atlas Centaur Gozar rocket as they transit across the Atlantic Ocean. The Centaur is powering the Gozar satellite.
Controlling near nominal MR.
This flight will continue on for more than 3 hours as the Centaur engine will have a total of 3 burns before spacecraft separation later tonight.
That's not something I'd like to watch.
Body rates are still controlling down the middle. Centaur currently is flying at altitude of 150 miles, downrange distance 1,389, current velocity 15,290 miles per hour.
Just a little more than 3 minutes remaining in this first of 3 Centaur burns.
Hydrazine line temperatures have warmed to bottle temperatures. That system looks very good. Still seeing our normal thermal conditioning firings.
Roughly how long until Miko at this stage is what I'm wondering. I'm going insane. Seriously, I do feel like I'm losing my mind right now.
And Centaur PU is now controlling near nominal, having worked off the excess oxidizer.
No, it doesn't seem to show the orbit as in perigee apogee. So there's 29.8 feet per second squared.
10 minutes after liftoff, you're listening to the voice of Marty Malinowski describe the progress of Centaur.
Great. How many minutes left in the burn?
All systems are operating well.
Seriously, just tell us how many seconds or minutes are left in the burn.
Approximately 2 minutes remain in this first burn.
Thank you.
Centaur PU continues to control near nominal. Engine response looks good. Chamber pressures, LOX pump discharge, and fuel venturi all within band. Body rates controlling down the middle.
LCA. Going.
LOX and fuel tank pressures are stable. Storage bottle pressures look good. Batteries are as well.
Right. Go in.
Managers overseeing the launch and flight, keeping track of the progress, standing by for the first main engine cutoff of Centaur in a little bit under a minute.
Continues to make good progress downrange. And we have IP vanish. Centaur is now orbital.
Centaur has a oh, no, not quite yet, mate. Centaur is not orbital. Now it's technically orbital. It would still burn up, though.
And we have Miko. Looks like a good shutdown. 4S motors around. CRDs have been safed.
Great. So that was the launch of Gozar. I'm Bugsman25. Goodbye. I'm going to go get some sleep before I lose my mind.
12 minutes,
See you tomorrow.
39